At Faith Alliance for Climate Solutions, we believe in the power of community, faith, and action. With over 2,900 supporters, 225 faith communities, and 5 active advocacy hubs across Northern Virginia and the Commonwealth, we are united in our mission against climate change. Our advocacy efforts are based in the belief that local change can result in global impact. From Fairfax to the Shenandoah, our advocates have made significant strides supporting clean energy development and boosting community-wide action. At Faith Alliance for Climate Solutions, we believe that all voices are essential in this fight against climate change.
Power of Faith is about so much more than just reducing energy consumption. It's about empowering congregations to inspire others to do the same. With our recent $200,000 award from the Department of Energy Buildings Up program, we now have close to 20 congregations that are a part of the program. These congregations are reducing their costs, lowering their energy consumption, and most importantly, inspiring other congregations to do the same. Congregations that are a part of the Power of Faith program receive free resources like access to our webinars, which we host monthly. We cover topics like how to get an energy audit, how to reduce costs, and the financing options available. Congregations also receive free one-on-one coaching and peer-to-peer support as part of the program. We are transforming houses of worship into beacons of sustainability, and they are inspiring change locally, regionally, and nationally.
Tree of Life is our response to the climate and biodiversity crisis. It's urgent and it's scary, but we believe that there's still hope. By building green teams within faith communities, we're creating a network of faith leaders that are dedicated to implementing sustainable practices in and out of their congregations. We're talking about planting trees, native species, community gardens, removing invasives, embracing composting, zero waste events, and anything else that our congregations are passionate about. We couldn't do any of this without our partnerships with dedicated, local, boots-on-the-ground organizations like Plant Nova Natives, Northern Virginia Bird Alliance, Eco Action Arlington, and Nature Forward. We believe in supporting congregations to do the good work so that they can, in turn, protect all living things and feel empowered to become champions of change.
At this time, I'd like to ask Ainley Connolly here at Unity to open us with a few words. And Amy's doing double duty, so.
Good evening. I am Amy Conley, the Director of Music and Arts here at Unity of Fairfax, and I would like to say a very hearty welcome to FACS. I believe this is the 3rd year in a row that we've hosted these ceremonies, and it's just a wonderful opportunity for us to be a part of this. A few pieces of business. The restrooms, if you walk straight out those doors and turn right and left, and you'll find it. If you look up, you see the signs directing you where to go. Secondly, I invite you to turn off your cell phones or any other noise makers. Otherwise, a large man from the back will come forward and collect your very generous donation to our youth and family program. And we are blessed to have you here with us tonight, and have a good program.
Thank you, Amy. First, I'd like to thank you all for being here this evening. I know this is a busy time of year for many of us, and it means a lot that you made space in your week to be with us this evening for a celebration of our community in action. While these are challenging times, and it's easy to feel discouraged, the folks you hear from tonight are not wavering in their commitment to making a difference where they live, work, worship, and learn. But more on that in a few minutes. Right now, I'd like to introduce tonight's keynote speaker, Reverend Laura Martin. Reverend Martin is an associate pastor at Rock Spring United Church of Christ in Arlington, where she has been on staff for about 10 years now. Laura also serves on a number of committees and boards in the communities, including the Northern Virginia Affordable Housing Alliance, and has directed programs for families and individuals experiencing homelessness. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Martin.
Thank you to Chris and the FACS staff. So in nearly every faith tradition, there is some kind of prediction of the end of the world. In Christianity, it's the apocalypse of the book of Revelation, a book that reads like a hallucinogenic journey with beasts from the sea and fires and plagues. And it has this verse in it. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. The word apocalypse actually means revealing or unveiling. Revealing or unveiling, it means being able to see more clearly. Joanna Macy, the eco-philosopher, calls the place where we are as a society the great unraveling, an ongoing collapse of living structures. It's when our systems from society to ecology are made into commodities. Unraveling shows that systems don't just fall over dead, that they fray. They lose their coherence, their integrity, and their memory. Things fall apart when we make them into commodities. So I'm going to tear up this napkin in symbolism of the destruction of the earth. The tearing represents Exxon knowing what the science said about fossil fuels in the 1970s, but proceeding to lie for profit. Represents the ruin of the rainforest, the bleaching of the coral reefs with global temperature rise. It represents the rise in famine and drought connected to living unsustainably, the cuts to the EPA and to programs like the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program. It is the great unraveling. Take a look, this is torn. Joanna Macy does not leave us there just unraveled, though. She talks about how in every adventure story, the heroes don't feel equipped for the job. The task is too high, they are just ordinary people. Does that sound relatable to anybody right now? But we are invited into what she calls the great turning as a counter to the great unraveling. And to do this, to be part of the great turning, she invites us into what she calls the spiral of the work that reconnects. And unlike a cycle where we go from one thing to another in a sequence, a spiral invites us to move back and forth between the parts. Macy says that the spiral of the work that reconnects begins with our gratitude for creation. What in creation do you love? Think about it. Say it out loud to a neighbor or out loud to this room.
Finches, wings.
I love turtles sunning themselves on rocks on the New River. Peonies that come back for decades reading in the shadow of a favorite willow tree. Then, after our gratitude, we honor our grief. Starting with gratitude has increased our awareness for what we love and how it is at stake right now. We do not dismiss the grief, but we step into it, letting ourselves mourn the lost species. The summers when we could stay outside all day because it was not unbearably hot. Remember those summers? The grief for the communities where their rivers have dried up, where they do not eat because heat has killed their crops, for the coral reefs that are dying. We let ourselves feel this grief. And next, Macy says we see with new eyes, which means seeing interconnectedness. Pope Francis called this integral ecology, the way that humanity and nature cannot be separated. And he writes, human beings, while capable of the worst, are also capable of rising above themselves, choosing again what is good and making a new start. we can take an honest look at ourselves and embark on new paths to authentic freedom. No system can completely suppress our openness to what is good, true, and beautiful, or our God-given ability to respond to grace at work. Do not forget this dignity, which is ours. No one has the right to take that from us. And Francis's call invites us into the last point in Macy's spiral, going forth. That's where we clarify our vision and we identify practical steps we can take. We each find our own steps. What are those? Well, FACS gives us a launching point for these ideas. FACS helps us lean into what committed groups can make possible, from greening sanctuaries to making homes more efficient. And at Rock Spring, we started by pivoting to paying for green energy via our provider. Then we did energy audits and ASHRAE studies, leading to insulation upgrades and a solar installation. This week, we reached the solar equivalent of having planted 1,991 trees, so we are almost to the 2,000 mark. We celebrated the impact that people could make in their daily lives by making and playing a green bingo game. We had an LED light lab for fun and participated in the plastic challenge. We had a plant-based potluck to promote fresh recipes, and one of our members began washing our mugs so we could cut down on paper cup use. Last summer, FACS members helped to get air conditioning to members of a mobile home community in a heat emergency. Or your steps might mean taking the money that you're saving on energy costs and reinvesting it to support organizations like FACS or the Solar Village Project. Solar Village Project installs solar on schools and medical clinics in India and Puerto Rico. And in the last month, SVP launched 19 new installations, bringing their total to more than 100 installations around the world. Might mean planting a new native plant or looking into what your condo board or retirement community can do to green your living space. Or taking on a challenge like buying only used clothing for a year. Supporting elected officials who prioritize the earth. So this is the spiral of the work that reconnects, starting with gratitude, honoring grief, seeing our interconnectedness, choosing the practical steps we can take. So what's my prediction for the end of the world? My prediction is that the world has already ended and started again and will do so over and over. My prediction is that we can all be part of the great turning. Every time someone plants a tree, it contributes to the establishment of a new heaven and a new earth. Every time someone acts for the interconnection of creation rather than the profit of it, we have a new heaven and a new earth. We continue to point toward what we cannot reach, to point our lives toward the light that powers the earth. And that is worth revealing over and over. So you remember that world that was destroyed at the beginning? That napkin that I tore up? Well, look at it now. Amen.
Well, magic's in the air. Thank you, Reverend Martin. This evening, we recognize those in our communities who inspire us and live in the missions of FACS. And they do inspire us. This year, we had the most nominations that we have ever received across the region, from Arlington to the Shenandoah. So our first award I would like to announce will be for our faith community, This year's Faith Community Champion is Holy Comforter Episcopal Church in Vienna. Last year, Holy Comforter completed a solar installation that will generate 110% of its electricity needs, a capstone to their aggressive efficiency improvements over the past 15 years. Holy Comforter is a leader in their community in assisting refugees, food security, addressing unhoused neighbors, and land conservation through their creation care ministry. A longtime partner of FACS, who has presented at numerous of our webinars and encouraged other congregations on their energy journey, I am pleased to present this award to Holy Comforter.
Thank you so much. Good to see you again. Thank you. Just thank you, Laura, for your wonderful words, and I'm going to keep this brief, but focused on just the hurdles of our project briefly, because this last project was our solar efforts. But our faiths do call us to a vision of well-being for all people. They call us to responsibility for each other and the enjoyment of God's gifts. And that future well-being is in jeopardy, and we have to work together to have shared wholeness. It's the only way. So this is a story about the hurdles, brief story about the hurdles. I hope it doesn't last too long. But 6 years ago, Holy Comforters Vestry met and decided to support our diocesan and church goals of net zero by 2035 in the Paris Climate Agreement. Because we're purple at the time, we couldn't call it that, so we called it the Paris Climate Agreement. That was our first hurdle. From there, we called solar providers and asking for them to help us out, and no one could, based on our roofs alone, get us to 100% of our electrical needs. So, especially with roof anxiety, as so many houses of worship have with their steep pitch roofs. That was our second hurdle. We were heading in to create a solar with a PPA like Road of Shalom, who we'd been inspired by, and not too long after the son of a couple who'd been very involved with our congregation said they'd like to give a gift. And at first it was going to be a sculpture, and then they said, we want to give a major gift of $425,000. I suggested we had some bids for solarizing, and they said that was the best in line with what their parents had in mind. So the Joan and Victor solar array idea was born. For 2 more years, we spent time raising funds on capital campaigning to finish what we thought we needed for a solar array and finish retiring an $800,000 debt. That was the third hurdle. Thanks to Faith Alliance or Climate Solution webinars, thanks to Fairfax County grants that helped us design and plan the process, we relied on so many partners to help, with Temple Road of Shalom, Rock Creek UCC to inspire us, Emmanuel on the Hill, Alexandria, and then we called a team to work together on the project with a variety of skill sets. The team helped us realize that the only way we could meet our goal of 100% was through a canopy in the parking lot. Getting a contractor to call us back to build a canopy was challenging. We were in between residential and commercial sizes. 10 contractors were called. 1 contractor called us back, who became a partner in the process, Bob Pagnato of Structural Solar, LLC. And that was our fourth hurdle. No solar provider then wanted to work with a contractor for a solar canopy. They all walked away except Ray Masavage of Cavu Solar. That was our fifth hurdle. We asked a parishioner who was a contractor then to guide us through the permitting process and become our contractor. And then finally, solar providers are willing to come back to the table and give us bids for providing PVC or PV panels. After the bids, we asked Ipsen to be our solar provider, mainly due to their very competitive price and B Corp status. Communication, though, was often difficult, but we persevered, and the carport covered 72% of our electrical needs. We waited 6 months for new zoning laws in Vienna, which would allow for an independent utility structure on a conditional use permit for what the land we're on as a church. That was our sixth hurdle. And then we had to wait for the Inflation Reduction Act for 5 more months, portal to open up to help us expand the project by an additional 30%. So we added 2 roofs to be paneled. That was our seventh hurdle. After 10 contractors, multiples of permits, bids put out, we were ready finally to break ground. It came together last fall, and the array and the roofs were put together. After waiting on Ipsen through delays, and then waiting on Dominion, who couldn't give us a window to shut off power for 3 months after we were all done, those were our 8th and 9th hurdles, we finally got some help through friends to get the Dominion managers to shut the energy off and help us turn the energy on December 31st, 2024, according with Ipsen, about 1 o'clock on December 31st. And the system was finally turned on. We stand very hopeful, according to our CPA, Don Magruder of Magruder Group, that we'll get 30% plus back on our project, thanks to the domestic content of some of our efforts. Nonprofits are still receiving direct pay funds designated by the IRA, and it still stands for now, even though things have gone kind of crazy. I need to acknowledge lots of people for this effort, because that's how it all gets done. We need each other in this. And so by working together, Meg Mall, a parishioner, was really helpful, and former FACS chairperson and director, Bob Robinson, and our parishioner, Brian Land, a parishioner, Paul Brown and the Brown family, Victor and Joan Brown, Peter Erickson, who's been working on all our energy efficiency issues in so many ways, Carrie Gilpin working on and Margaret Bain working on our land management and planting native species and caring for that. Dan Govan, our contractor, was amazing and super helpful. Jim Cahill of Ipsen Solar, Fairfax County grant processing, Patrick Richardson, a parishioner, Don Magruder, parishioner, Kevin Reynolds, Hunter and Caitlin from Dominion Energy, the town of Vienna for their rezoning efforts, Peggy Miller, our treasurer, congregation's generosity, and everyone who was incredibly patient with all the swearing I did through this process. There were lots of purple words going out of my mouth, but we will only do this together, and so I think the next project is either geothermal or lobbying for community solar in our state. Who's going to join me?
Wow. Thank you, Father John. Okay, so for our next award. It is no news to you that the earth is getting hotter, and we are feeling it here in Northern Virginia. Those hit hardest by extreme temperatures are our neighbors, such as those who reside in Harmony Place mobile home community here in Fairfax County. During a county-declared heat emergency in the summer, actually almost exactly a year ago in 2024, Resilient Fairfax Program Manager Allison Homer in the Office of Environmental and Energy Coordination led efforts to organize an effort to provide air conditioning units to those who were ineligible for cooling assistance by federal guidelines, but whose homes were over 100 degrees during the day. Allison went above and beyond, working evenings and weekends to address this critical need in one of our most vulnerable at-risk communities. FACS is proud to have partnered with Allison and OEEC in this effort, and I'm thrilled to present her with the Public Sector Champion Award this evening.
Thank you, everyone. This award is a pleasant surprise and one that is very much appreciated. On behalf of our office, I'd like to turn the recognition back out to the community, because this effort and everything that we do in the Office of Environmental and Energy Coordination is only possible through collaboration with community members and organizations like Faith Alliance for Climate Solutions. So for example, last year during the heat emergency that we were addressing at the mobile home park, I was making cold calls to various nonprofits trying to find a solution because there were dozens of mobile homes that were over 100 degrees inside. There was a baby with heat-related illness. There were toddlers sitting outside their trailers in the 100-degree heat because it was actually cooler outside than inside their trailers. I couldn't sleep having witnessed that situation, so I made a bunch of cold calls. One of those cold calls was to Chris, and he sent out a request for donations, and donations came pouring in from all of you, donated AC units. So thanks to all of you who donated and contributed to those AC units. would not have been possible without that. We also partnered with Rebuilding Together. They had amazing volunteers who worked through 6 weeks of extreme heat to install the AC units and provide other critical repairs, water-damaged walls and floors, and critical electrical situations. We had amazing translators from United Community and Tenants and Workers United, and our own Ivana Escobar from Housing and Community Development. Hybla Valley Community Center was incredible and let us store a bunch of AC units there. Other departments came on site with us to connect residents to critical social services. Fire department came with us to make sure everything was fire safe. So it was truly a community-wide, collaborative, beautiful effort. And I'm very thankful for each and every one of you who participated. Thank you.
This year's award for individual impact goes to Jeff High. Jeff is the founding director of Give Solar, a nonprofit social impact organization that connects homeowners with low-income and nonprofit organizations to gain access to affordable solar energy. He is currently leading Give Solar's collaboration with Habitat for Humanity Virginia and the American Institute of Architects with the goal to install solar systems on 70 to 80 homes in Virginia. One of his peers reached out to me directly after he was selected to emphasize that his solar barn raising ministry has such a greater impact than what I can say in so few words here. Please join me in congratulating Jeff as he accepts the 2025 Award for Individual Contribution.
Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. We drove up this afternoon from Harrisonburg. I have 3 of my good friends with me who also do really amazing work, and so they're sitting right here. So after this, you should also talk to them. I'll tell you a little bit more about my work. So Give Solar started in 2018. It started out as a project to help nonprofit organizations to go solar, and we used a crowdfunding model, and then we also, as Chris mentioned, we did solar barn raisings, which for those of you who don't know, you can imagine an Amish barn raising where all the neighbors come out and help to build the barn. So we took that concept because Harrisonburg, where we started this project, is an area that has a lot of Mennonites, former Amish, and Old Order Mennonites. So we took that concept and we applied it in our local community and got volunteers to help install solar panels on a couple of nonprofits. So that's how my project started. In 2020, a friend of mine who's a board member with Central Valley Habitat, which is one of 36 Habitat offices in Virginia, he asked me, how can we get solar on Habitat homes? He had actually worked previously, maybe 10 years, 15 years ago, to get solar thermal energy on Habitat homes, solar hot water. But he was really interested with the improved technology of solar PV to figure out a way to add solar to Habitat homes. So for those who don't know very much about Habitat, Habitat's always struggling to raise money to build houses, and with the pandemic and other things, it's been really hard to make ends meet. And so the whole concept of installing solar on Habitat homes is a really heavy lift. So we started this project in 2020 at the request of my friend who's a board member with Central Valley Habitat. We did one pilot project, which was 2 solar systems on a Habitat duplex in Broadway, Virginia, just down the road from Harrisonburg. And what I found out in that one project was that there was a lot of people who really got excited about this. You know, it's the coming together of affordable housing and renewable energy and climate solutions. So with that encouragement of that first fundraising effort, that crowdfunding effort, we raised $10,000 in about 2 months or so. I went back to the board of that local Habitat and asked them asked for their permission to raise more money. So we set a goal for $100,000, and over the course of about 6 months, we raised $127,000, which would allow us to put solar on the next 20 houses that Habitat affiliate builds. Every step of the way, I'm not a professional fundraiser. I'm just passionate about the work that I do. Every step of the way, we've had really good success. The next thing that we did was we talked to Overton McGee from Habitat for Humanity Virginia about starting a statewide project. I know my comments are getting a little bit long here, but I'll try to wrap them up. Overton and the other staff at Habitat Virginia were really intrigued by this project, and so we got a grant to do 5 to 10 pilot projects in unique Habitat affiliates around the state. That project went really well. We ended up doing 12 pilot projects. And then somehow, by some miracle, I got an email from an engineer in San Francisco who had done a Google search on low-income solar. She was designing a renovation for the American Institute of Architects headquarters building in Washington, D.C. They wanted to do a carbon offset project. And so one thing led to another. We got a $500,000 donation from AIA as a carbon offset project. And that is the project that we've been implementing for the last 2 years. And we've installed 73 systems on Habitat homes around the state. And we have a project manager who has identified about 350 more houses that can receive solar Habitat homes. For those of you who don't know, Habitat homeowners typically earn less than 60% of area median income, and these people have very little access to solar. So this project is trying to reach that particular demographic. So I'm about to wrap up. So that project has led to 10 more states. So Overton represents Habitat for Humanity Virginia. 10 other states were really interested in what we're doing, so we are working to replicate what we've created here in Virginia in 10 other states. We raised $1 million last year to do that, spread that $1 million out to those 10 states. And now, just recently, we've set a goal of raising $26 million to start up programs in the state offices of Habitat nationwide. So from a very modest project in Harrisonburg, Virginia, we're hoping that this will expand nationwide, and it's been a blast. And some of you in the room maybe have been supporters. If that's the case, then thank you, and thank you for this award.
Thanks, Jeff. It's not the Academy Awards. We're not going to roll music over you. So we appreciate, I mean, you came all the way from Harrisonburg, so on a Thursday. This year, we recognize the Loudoun Nature Conservation Project and their founder, Ryan Nissy, for our Youth Sustainability Champions. Ryan, a senior at Potomac Falls High School, started LNCP to create a student-based community that leads by example. Their work has brought together over 200 students from 5 schools in hands-on restoration work, community education, and environmental research. Their work has reached over 500,000 people in our area and created a model where students are shaping the future of conservation. I met Ryan at a public meeting in Loudoun, in which both of us were speaking, and I can say his enthusiasm is contagious. Ryan, please join me and accept this year's award.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Issei. I'm 17 years old. As you heard, I go to the Academies of Loudoun and Potomac Falls High School. I founded Loudoun Nature Conservation Project last year in April of 2024 with 2 of my buddies, Carter LaPue and Christian Shire. We're 501c, not-for-profit conservation, made by students, for students. So we founded with 3 missions in mind. Number 1 being conservation. We have about 230 members right now, and from age 6 to 67 from 5 different Loudoun County high schools, or schools in general. And we work with our local parks to do bi-weekly park cleanups, helping our environment on the front lines. We also work in education and outreach. We produce environmental articles and blogs and posts, whether it's park etiquette or invasive species and something like that, pretty much. We also do a lot of research. We have one paper trying to be published, and we're currently working one on water nitrates right now. We are very thankful to be backed by a grant from Main Street Bank for both of those studies. And liaison work, we can't do it all ourselves, so we work with local parks and other organizations to bring environmental opportunities to teenagers as well. I'm very honored to receive this award today. I'm very honored to be nominated by Mark Pankow from LEA for this award as well. I just want to make one point, really. I just want you to look left and then look right. If I'm correct, I'm probably the youngest person here. And there is no future without involving the youth in conservation and in climate change. The youth are a very untapped potential for environmental study, research, and conservation. It is very imperative that we involve people like me and people younger than me and older in environmental education, conservation, and reversing climate change. As honored as I am to receive this award, this is simply a checkpoint in my journey, in our shared mission, in reversing climate change. Thank you. One more thing, shameless plug, but if any of you are looking for a summer intern or work in healthcare, please let me know.
Thank you, Ryan, for reminding me I have a birthday in 3 days. Okay. The Reston Farmers Market, now in its 28th season, provides access to fresh local food, including low-income residents using SNAP benefits, through their volunteers and over 30 small businesses and farmers all within 125 miles. I did some math, and an estimated 75,000 visitors pass through the market each operating season. The market, over its years, has significantly reduced plastic waste through the use of cloth and compostable bags funded by Fairfax County's plastic bag tax, a tax which was a major policy win for FACS. Each week, 30 to 40 families are fed through the gleaning of unsold produce, and visitors may drop off their compost or speak with a master gardener who's on site. Please join me in welcoming managers from the farm market to accept our Community Champion Award.
First of all, I do want to say we are so grateful for this award. I was very surprised when we received it. We are all volunteers at the market. My husband started the market 28 years ago with the help of the Fairfax County Park Authority. We had just retired from the USAID family and came back looking for something to do that was worthwhile. And he started it with about 12 vendors, and it has burgeoned to where it's now 35. We have 35 local farmers and food vendors. It's all food and plants. So we do not do any crafts, just good, sustainable food from a 125-mile radius. We do have lots of good programs that are happening. We were very proud to stay open during COVID. We had sort of been denied that idea of staying open because, of course, we would have all 2,000 or more people in this area, but it was all outdoors, and we live in a very diverse and very good community that believes in science. So most of the customers that came were masked, and we were able to stay open during that time, which was Also, we were also helped with about 6 other volunteers. Right now, we are planning to keep it going. We're working with teams. We have so many good volunteers locally at Lake Ann. This is a very diverse community. They love the local food, and we have 7 team members. We have 3 teams made up of those 7 volunteer market managers. Keith and Ann have been with us. Keith has been with us for over 12 years, helping us out. And then Ann joined us during COVID. So we are very happy to have them and our other volunteers. We also have 6 substitutes that we're training, and we plan to continue as long as we can with providing good food. We have composting, thanks to Ann. She has pushed that program. We have no plastic bags in the market now. It's all composting bags or regular cloth bags that the county has provided us with, which is really great. We also have let me get my notes here. We also have a SNAP program. We live in a community that has a large population that uses the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. We also support, of course, the small farmer, which is a big thing right now. And because of hoop houses and also climate change, we're able to have a longer season. So we go from the end of April until almost the end of November this year. We also, let me make sure I get everything in here. We work with cornerstones. We have gleaners that come and they collect the food that the farmers can't sell, and that goes to our local food bank. And of course, we also have the master gardeners that help people and give them ideas on how to best grow their own food. So that's another good thing that we provide, another service locally. And I just want to say again that I'm very grateful for this award. Thank you so much, and come to the Reston Farmers Market, open Saturday from 8 to noon, Lake Ann parking lot.
So Grounded Coffee Shop, this year's Sustainable Business winner, is a local mom and pop cafe in Alexandria, stemming from a lifelong dream of French and Latina owners, Sebastian and Carla. Their commitment to using dishes and flatware instead of single-use containers and encouraging clients to bring their own mugs and containers. The shop serves as a cozy community hub that's a stable for working people, families, and community members in the area. Unfortunately, Grounded cannot be with us tonight, but I encourage you all to visit their shop on Telegraph Road in Alexandria. This year, we have a new category for an individual who's had a tremendous impact over FACS's history. I'd like to introduce FACS's board chair, Scott Peterson, who will present the chair award to Bob Jordan. Scott.
Thanks, Chris. For 9 years now, we've been recognizing outstanding leadership in our communities through the FACS Sustainability Awards. And what we haven't done is recognize outstanding volunteers within FACS. And there are people who have given hours of their time and commitment and their expertise and their money to advance FACS's goals to address the climate crisis. So Chris and I were talking, and we decided to create what we're calling the Chairman's Award, or the Chair's Award, that'll be given every year to one unsung hero or heroine who no one really knows. Not a lot of people know anyways, except the people that work with them most closely. Whose commitment and capacity to inspire us has not only changed FACS, but have also, in this case, changed our entire region. And that person who I'm honoring today is Bob Jordan. Now wait, because I've got a few more things to say about you, Bob. In 2016, FACS began educating the Fairfax County Public School senior staff and school board members about the climate crisis and about climate solutions. Bob Jordan was the first person I recruited. Bob had come from Mothers Out Front, where he was known as being an electric bus expert. Now, Mothers Out Front at that point were in a bit of stasis, so we luckily grabbed him. And Bob became, so we created a little team, Bob being one of them. I was on it. Bob became our guru, our Yoda, although you'll see he's not exactly small, whose deep expertise and continuing curiosity on net zero schools, electric buses, and so many other topics was an inspiration to all of us on the team. He was also part of the team who advocated with the Fairfax County Department of Transportation on electric school buses. Then came the pandemic, and we decided, well, let's leave the schools alone for a while. They've got enough on their hands. And so a couple of years later, I reached out and began to reconstitute the team. And some people had aged out, and others had moved on, and others had family commitment. But Bob Jordan was there. So in time, we began to grow that team. We have a solid team now of about 8 people. And in August of 2022, we began meeting with Superintendent Reed and her senior staff, who, like us, when Bob talked, they were listening. And the schools began to make real change in their facilities, in their environmental education of students, and much more. So, inevitably, last year, Bob came to me and he said that he thought his days of advocacy were coming to an end with the passage of time. And we were all saddened, but grateful for what Bob Jordan has helped us to accomplish. Bob Jordan, the recipient of this year's Chairman Award.
Thanks very much, Scott. I really appreciate this. I want to highlight that my principal focus, as Scott has mentioned, has been on first, the electrification of the school bus fleet, and then secondly, and I believe actually more importantly, on the energy efficiency and electrification of Fairfax County school buildings, with a special focus on ways to improve energy efficiency and reduce energy costs without a full-blown renovation of the schools. After all, the least expensive type of energy is that energy which is no longer required as a result of efficiency improvements. I want to stress that the work that I have been doing as part of the FACS FCPS team is not yet done. Fairfax County Public Schools have not yet fully internalized the need to look at the total cost of its energy investments. In part, this is because, as I was explaining to a young woman before the ceremony started, there's a capital budget and an operational budget. The energy investments are financed out of the capital budget, but the electrification ongoing expenses are financed out of the operating budget. And there's no combining those two factors, so there's less opportunity to understand what more efficient buildings will contribute in terms of less energy expenditures. So hopefully at some point this will be overcome. This advocacy needs to continue. Hopefully there's someone in this audience, or you know someone who would be willing to join the FACS team advocating in the public school system for more energy efficiency. And I'm sure Scott would be more than happy to talk with anyone who's interested about the possibility of joining the team. Finally, I want to thank a large number of individuals who've been instrumental in various ways for me to receive this award. First, I want to recognize Ray Martin, who is a friend of mine and a former neighbor who encouraged me to join FACS, and I believe he talked with Scott about me as well. Second, as Scott mentioned, I was involved with Mothers Out Front, even though I'm not a mom. But I want to recognize Bobby Monticello, who I understand is helping the team, although she's still with Mothers Out Front. She's now involved when FACS meets Superintendent Reed. And she was instrumental in providing me information about electrification of school buses. Also, Smita Chandra Thomas, who's here, has a consulting firm that focuses on energy efficiency in buildings. Smita was very helpful in educating the FACS FCPS team, including myself, obviously, about energy efficiency possibilities in Fairfax County schools, what makes sense and what doesn't necessarily make sense. Also want to mention that Carl Frisch, who's on the chairman of the school board, has been a major leader in Fairfax County School Board in its commitment to reducing energy consumption in schools and pursuing a net zero energy strategy for Fairfax County Public Schools. Also, as Scott mentioned, the superintendent of schools, Michelle Reed, has always been willing to listen to FACS since she's become superintendent. And a couple of the facilities management people I want to mention also, Janice Szymanski and Justin Moss, who were very open to our collaboration with FCPS. Finally, or not almost finally, I want to recognize my wife, Nora, who for always being so supportive in my volunteer activities, and in fact, in many of them, helping out volunteering herself. Finally, I do want to thank Scott in his capacity as the leader of the FACS FCPS team, as well as all of the team members, many of whom are here, both past and present, for their commitment in advocating for healthier and more climate-friendly schools in Fairfax County. Again, thanks very much for this award.
Well, thank you once again for being here tonight to recognize the efforts and celebrate the passion of our 2025 Sustainability Champions. I invite you to meet the winners, enjoy a dessert reception right outside the atrium, sponsored and provided by our community partner, Rest and Strong. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.